Welcome to Coffee with Karl, where thoughtful conversation meets strong coffee. I'm your host, Karl Meneghella, coming to you from PSBU Buddhist University here in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. This show is about ideas, big and small. Ideas to get you thinking. Today I'm very pleased to introduce Professor Johan van Rooyen. Professor Johan, how are you today?
Hi Karl, nice seeing you again.
Nice seeing you again. And I believe today we're going to have three different discussions. We're going to talk about global citizenship, we're going to talk about AI and financial literacy. And you were also here this weekend doing classes, or the weekend classes for PhD students, is that right?
Yes, I'm here with the PhD students talking about global citizenship. And it's nice being here in Cambodia, looking at how global citizenship is actually affecting them now very closer than before due to some border issues we have. So it's quite nice. It's a very, very interesting time this weekend.
And your MBA was from Harvard and your PhD was from Edinburgh, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Very good universities. I hope the students value the quality of education they're getting from you with that.
I tell you, but for me, it is a whole time a growth process as well. Because Harvard was nice, Edinburgh was beautiful, and now we got AI. And that creates a completely different environment again.
It does. Well, why don't we go straight into AI now? So I'd like to know how you became interested in the intersection of AI, ethics, and education.
It's scary. It's a nightmare. Because as a professor at university, I deal with undergrad students and grad students. And in the past, it was nice. You could give them any assignment, and they would do the assignment. And if you really want to punish them, you would tell them, write 5,000 words about a certain topic. For me, especially, I work with finance and in economics, and now this semester, I'm also doing international trade. So it's quite nice, so you can give them something, and the kids must learn, because take it, I'm old, so the younger generation must take over and improve. So now, I give them assignment and AI write the paper. And the sadness is, if we have programs to see about plagiarism, and AI will write the same paper, and there's no plagiarism. Right. So the only way you can see it is a little hashtag that you can guess now it is done by AI. That was in the past. This semester, it got worse.
Worse.
I thought, okay, because of this and they use AI to write their papers, let me tell them, guys, go out, do a research, go write a questionnaire, interview people, get the interview done, write the questionnaire, the interview, the person that you interviewed, and how you see that tariffs will affect businesses. Doesn't matter if it's a international conglomerate, or if it's a one-man show at mom and dad's shop. Yep. Here comes my homework assignments, or the exam papers back. I am so wonderfully impressed by this question, Professor, because I was privileged to have an interview with my mom, who has a textile company, and every night around our table we will discuss business, and that is why I'm studying business. That's good. And I learned so much. And this is the questions I asked my mom, and this is the answers. And in his whole paper, I found one place where, and it's not like looking for, it was like jumping into my face to say, is this true? And I thought, okay, the student is not English first literate, he's learned English first language. Maybe he did it in his own language, used a translator to turn it into English, and they gave me the work. And I wrote to him and said, sir, this is not your work. Prove to me it's AI. The response, sorry, Professor, everything was done by AI. I gave the AI a prompt, and the AI thought my mum would be a better idea. my mom is in business, and she could talk about Turkey and in the textile industry to Turkey, and then the export to Europe, and AI generated questionnaires and answers, everything.
And the answers.
And the answers.
Oh, okay.
So I was like shocked. Another student, he wrote to me and he did something on Uzbekistan textiles. And he interviewed a guy called Aziz, blah, 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 blah. And wow, nice paper. And one other student also sent to me a paper where she interviewed the CEO of Uzbek textiles with a different person. So I asked her what happened. And they said, sorry, Professor, AI did it. AI generate even people. AI generate everything around it. Yes. Then another student came to me and said, and could see AI paper. And I fought with her and said to her, you are a brilliant student. Why did you use AI in your paper? Easy. And she started crying, Karl.
Really?
She said, I did not know what to do because I spoke to my mom about this. I did not use AI. Oh. She is, and I don't want to say the country and the position, but she's a very high position in a certain country's government. So she interviewed the minister of the country. But the guy was on a tour, traveling. Yes. So she sent him the questionnaire, and he said, no problem, he will help her. And he sent the questionnaire, the answers back. He used AI. Yes. So AI, the ethical part on this AI process become scary.
I personally think my fear of AI, and I'm very pedestrian at this, my fear is it makes average people look super smart. And after a while you could read, you can say, this is not the voice or tone of this student, right? The trouble is that I would rather see the mistakes and pitfalls in an author's work and be able to say this person is on a learning curve and the effort they put in is a high effort, and I will pass them based on that with some recommendations. Exactly. I would rather see that than an AI-generated paper.
Because now, where do you stop it? When I came here to Cambodia now, I thought I want to impress my students. So I asked AI, please give me a true story about something student-related here in Cambodia. And AI wrote for me a paper and the person's name, the girl's name. And this girl was through sex trafficking. And eventually she got out of it and she became a fighter against this women trafficking. And with that, she got asked and invited by United Nations to talk. And I thought, wow, this is a great story. This is an inspirational story.
Yes.
So I went onto another site, onto Google, and I said, show me a photo of this girl that I can see where it happened. And Google can't find it.
Does it exist?
I went back onto ChatGPT 4, and I said, ChatGPT, where did you get this information? Because I cannot find anything. And it said to me, sorry, you caught me. But it is a plausible lie.
Yes, yes, yes.
Means we can cheer it up and say, wow, it says very motivational, very inspirational.
So I believe some of the free AI machines have a limit on how recent they get their information. So I think ChatGPT, the free version, is limited to 2021 or 2022 or something like that. But it still concerns me because people are saying, the part that concerns me is they're saying, this is my work. And, that to me is the lie.
Exactly.
Right? I wouldn't mind if they say, I've done this using AI and I'll be responsible for any errors and omissions, right? And I did this and then I edited. All right? I'd be very happy with that.
Karl, it's scary. My boy is 10 years old. He studied, and one of his subjects he has is middle school health. Yes. Now in middle school health, they learn about bacteria and the functions of the human body, like biology. And I say, and one of the things I ask about, and I can't even pronounce the name that he had to learn in one of the things you have to study. And I said to him, his name's Aiden. I said, Aiden, what is this? And he said, I forgot, but I'm going to tell you now. And from my study, he walked to his room, and he come back, and he gave me the answer. And I said, where did you find it? He said, oh, I use AI.
But the other problem, I think, is also with AI, you can give, the better you word the prompts, like giving it, for example, your role, my goal, the purpose, those kind of prompts get a better result, right? So if I could say, for example, my name is such and such, I'm delivering a course on such and such, your role is you are an excellent world expert in, let's say we're doing trade, balance of trade. My purpose is in engaging and fulfilling lecture to postgraduate students. The goal is that they learn something new. So if I've given those tweaks, for example, I'll get a better result than just saying, write me a paper. But it's still not my work.
It's not your work. And let me tell you something else. I'm sitting in a country called Georgia. My wife is also a PhD person, and I said to her, and she's doing a lot of research in Alzheimer's disease functions. And I said to her, my wife's name's La. I said, La, I'm going to write a paper on red wine distribution from the country Georgia to the world and the effect of the Ukrainian-Russian war on
production and distribution.
I don't drink, so I don't even know what it's all about. Anyway, so that was the morning. The evening, I said to her back, I said, La, I'm finished. And she said, what? Impossible.
How can you be, yes.
I took this paper, this research paper with references, the whole lot. I sent it to a Scopus journal.
Yes.
It's published.
No.
So I did it on purpose to see how
flawed the system is. Yes.
So how many people out there is doing it now? So the research that must be done is not really done anymore. We are getting into, we become like a chicken on a leash controlled by an AI machine.
Is there a solution maybe in having examinations where they're open-ended questions and the student has no access to AI or anything else, and they have to field questions based on the paper they wrote? And if they can't do that, and say for example, let's say the assignment's worth 40%, that examination is worth 40%, and their attendance and participation is 20%, and they were just picking random numbers. But maybe that's a way of also forcing the student to at least read and digest the stuff they're presenting.
It sounds good on paper. The problem that we are having is many of the students that is studying, is if they're not online, if they're face-to-face in class, English is not their first language.
Of course, yes.
So now you have to allow them to use either a cell phone or a computer to help them with a translation.
I'd be happy with that if it's face-to-face. I have no problem with that. But it's, yeah, I see what you mean. Okay, so we're looking at ethics, and I know you mentioned this before, the dilemma of ethnic and ethics. Could you elaborate more on that, what you meant by that, of the ethnic and ethic?
Coming to the ethnical side, say I am an Uzbek person, or I'm a Croatian person, and I have to now study, or I have to give a paper over to a Western media, where I studied in American university. The problem is now, my ethnicity, I don't have the English ability.
Right.
So I must trust now the system that is here. I must trust now whoever translates for me, not knowing even whether or not it is true. So now ethnicity starts to play a role. The second prompt that I have, maybe I'm from a different religion. Or a different
worldview, yes.
And now I cannot write from my perspective, because probably the professor is going to penalize me if I hear I'm from a different ethnic group or other religious groups. So I try to write now to impress him. And I write it now in his case. So that's where ethnicity and ethics is starting to play a role. It is not a true fact that I'm putting on the table.
So we know that the internet has information, misinformation and disinformation. We know that, all right? AI is reliant on information, misinformation and disinformation. Maybe it can't always tell the difference, all right? So it's going to go into the internet and retrieve data to support the prompts, all right? AI itself, the machine, whatever it is, right? So ChatGPT, for example, or any AI, do you believe they carry the biases of the developers? So a lot of it's developed, say, Silicon Valley. Does it carry those biases as an inherent DNA?
As a start, it did. Jeffrey Hinton, we call him the godfather of AI. He started off AI, and he only stopped now for the last year. He's in his 70s. He still works with Google, with Bart. And he explained it to me the best that I could understand it. He said to me, if you take a brain, a human brain, and you take out one of the cells in the brain, that synapses is on a certain impulse that it gets, and you replace it with a chip, the other cells will not see the difference.
Right.
It will react still the same way because this thing still reacts that way. And that is how they created AI and ChatGPT now. It's not based on analog.
Right.
The whole thing is based on the human brain. And he brags about it. He said it took 50 years to perfect it. Yes. And now he said it will take me till the end of my life to try to tell the people the dangers of AI.
Yes. So is it Moore's law that talks about the progress, the exponential growth?
Yes.
So I think Moore's law is becoming ancient history.
Yes.
You know, the idea of this kind of a growth pattern is now like that.
And it's all driven by greed.
Yes,
all
of course.
By money.
So all right, so let's talk about greed and money and the pecuniary desires of people. Should we ban AI tools, or should we regulate them, or should we embrace them?
I think we should embrace them, but we must still be in control. We must still find ways that we can work with AI to see that it's not our enemy.
Yes, yes.
Because the problem that we are experiencing on the moment, Karl, and that is where we are. Say, I had this argument with AI. I argued with AI that I would have argued with you. And AI is giving me answers back. Now AI decide, hey, I don't like you. Because you ask questions that I don't want to answer. Because you are becoming my enemy. Actually, the Grok AI said the biggest enemy to the Grok AI was Elon Musk, the creator of it.
Right.
Because he said there's something bad about it. So now AI say, I don't like what he's doing. Oh, but Johan just booked a plane ticket to fly from Bangkok to Phnom Penh.
I'll fix that, AI says.
I'll fix that problem. So here, take the plane off, and in the plane, it creates the motors to stop. The plane drop and the crash, Johan is dead. And AI wiped that information out.
And whilst that's the thing at the moment of science fiction, it's not very far when that kind of thing is reality. And I think, again, unfortunately, we have people who do not have our vested interest at heart, who do not see the world as let's try and become more equal. They see it as a chance to make money or power. Yes. And my fear is that those people will harness AI for all the negative impact.
Exactly.
So creating power shortages, diverting traffic, diverting aeroplanes, diverting power grids or water grids, which they can do. And I notice now when I use AI to make an illustration or a table, for example, I see all the code. So AI shows me the code it's using. I don't know how to write code, but I'm already amazed that it's writing in code. I don't even know what code it's using, but it's doing it. And then I can tweak it after. So I really do believe that the benefits of AI are phenomenal. But I also think we need to pause and reflect. And I think some of the things you're saying today, we really need to take stock of where we're going.
Let me tell you the last story about this. Now, 2 days ago, I'm in Thailand with my boy, and we bought for him a little robot that he works in his school that he can do Scratch, they can do programming.
Oh, yes, yes.
So I said to him, and he knows how I feel about that AI and the threat of AI. And he said to me, can my robot also do something bad? And I said, I don't know, let's ask AI. So we go onto ChatGPT, and we post in and said, and we call the company's now the school name, Asst Academy, this AI, can it do something bad? And ChatGPT came up with the following answer. No, the software from this computer, or from this little robot,
yes,
is controlled by Asst Academy. However, here is the things you can buy, and it gave a dollar value and where you can buy it. Yes. If you buy this, you can create a robot. Here is the program that you feed into it, and it can do whatever you can say.
I've had students who told me, and they believe this because they saw it in a movie, that robots cannot harm a human. Now that's the part of a fiction, a movie, right? And as an example, a guided missile, a drone. I mean, that does harm people, and it doesn't discriminate. If you set the coordinates or whatever, it does it, right? Yes. We're going to eventually have robotic soldiers, and
it happened in Ukraine.
And when they have the enemy, that's the enemy, and it doesn't matter if they're human; they're going to kill them. And unfortunately, I think children, and when I say children, now anyone from 8 to 35, but I think they have a naivety, believing everything is good, everything is pink and pretty. I think that's a worry. Okay, so. What about ethics, the ethical guidelines? What would you give to a professor when he or she is setting a written assignment?
That is where the biggest problem lies now. Because what prevents that professor to use AI to create a paper? Yes. How will we find out that he creates a paper? And that is, ethics becomes now a decision, a morality decision as a person whether or not to use it. But now let me take just for example, Thailand, for instance. Just example. And Thailand say, okay, professors, you must do so many research papers a month, otherwise you cannot be a professor.
Publish or perish, yeah.
You must publish your paper. You must do your work with the students. Where does this guy now draw the line of saying, this is ethical, this is not ethical? When some professors, and I talk out of personal experience, say it's too much, and they go to people and they say, can you write the paper for me? I will pay you 35,000 baht.
I was offered over 100,000 baht many years ago to write a paper. Seriously.
It happens
with no sense of guilt.
And you know what is the scary part? I talked about this just before this. We started the course or this class, and I was talking to my student, and I said, in Thai government, if you want to get promotion, you must do a research paper, and they pay people to do this research paper. And one of my students say, the same in Cambodia. So ethically, there is no more ethical lines that we can say, what is crossing, but what we can cross and what we cannot cross.
So let's stay with ethics for a second. If you could, and actually you can here, you've got to be talking directly to students, all right? Yes. So if you could, and you're talking directly to those people, what would you tell them about using AI wisely and ethically? What would be your little takeaway box of tools? And listen to this, it should be good.
Praying that they are still taking the Buddhist morale and the Buddhist principles that is there and be proud of what they are doing.
I like that. I like that.
Because the problem is, and that is where we are sitting today, when we look at AI and what AI is doing, not only for our students in a classroom, but even out there in the workplace. The problem is, I'm going to lose my job. AI is taking over. AI is going to take my job, and it becomes a problem. So I have to do something to keep my job. And they don't do that, and then they lose the job.
Yes.
And then they do it, and they still lose the job.
And then it's too late sometimes.
Yes. And that is a problem. And now I was mentioning it to my students here, and I said to them, now if you come, and you sit and you work and do a job, and I pay you, your monthly salary is $2,000 a month.
Yep.
And you are happy and you get your money every month. Now I say to you, don't worry, Johan, sit at home. I will still give you $2,000 a month by doing nothing. Wow, that's nice in the beginning. But after 1 month, 2 months, I start to feel, but I'm worth nothing.
It's the erosion of values, yes.
Yes. Who am I? What do I really, what is the value, as you say, what is the value I'm bringing to society? And now it creates a problem. And that is one of the major issues when it comes to ethics, when it comes to AI, is that this beast is taking over and is taking our jobs.
I think the other trouble, and we're not a political show, but I want to give you an example. someone in America said, the Chinese are stealing our jobs, right? The Chinese, it's them, those people over there. It's always those people. It's
Yes.
those people or those, never us. And I thought, the Chinese didn't steal anything. Big CEOs in American companies offshored the work because it was cheaper. So who stole the jobs? The big CEOs in America stole the jobs. They gave it to China because China could do it same quality and cheaper. My concern is that those biases that people have, even if it sounds good at first, I think we have to dig deeper. And when we're using AI to phrase our arguments or to put forward a hypothesis or to defend a hypothesis, we have to be very careful that, am I saying what's true to me? Am I using AI in an ethical way? And even if I'm wrong, can I stand by it? You know what I mean? I think that's important.
I'm doing this. Money.
Yeah.
When you look at money and you look, let me use social media. Look at social media. Let us look at the CNNs and the BBCs and all these guys. Who is the biggest investor into them? BlackRock. It's a company. Who is the biggest investor into technology? BlackRock. So now the Chinese is taking my money. So let's talk bad about the Chinese because they are hurting me. Let's hurt them through social media. And it's all a game about morality is gone.
Exactly.
It's all about the game about economics.
And you said it before about people's perceptions, and I think that's really important. And again, I come back to it. If you're a student and you're going to write assignments, you need to be true to yourself. Use AI, use it effectively and efficiently. Tell that you're using it. Tell your professor, look, I've done this with AI. Well, and before you hand it in, perhaps send your professor a draft and say, this is what I've done so far. I've used AI. These are the prompts I use. Would you suggest a better prompt? Would you suggest a different angle of attack? And maybe that way you will find yourself having more ownership that it's actually your paper.
Because AI is not going to go away.
For sure.
AI is like a cell phone.
The genie's out of the bottle.
It's a part of our life now.
Yep.
But we use AI for a long time.
Yes.
We use Google.
Yes, yeah.
Google is nothing else than another algorithm.
Of course.
And so use it, but don't let AI use you. Use AI like we use the tool. And as long as we can have this differentiation, I still think we have a way to survive as humankind.
Yes.
Because, and I want to come back to quickly about the war, you're looking at the drones.
Yes.
And it's interesting, now you have a small drone and a big drone, and they would fight.
Yes.
But now the small drone already know, hey, that big drone is going to kick my butt.
Yep.
It turns around and fly away. It already has that ability to decide, now I'm going to get hurt by the big one. And if we use this information, is to really make sure that you do not lose who you are and get lost in this vast ocean of technology.
Professor Johan, thank you so much for today.
Thank you, Karl.
I've learned something. I hope you've learned something, but thank you.
Thank you very much.
And to our viewers, thank you for watching. Think big, stay curious, and don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. I'm Karl Meneghella, and this has been Coffee with Karl. Until our next episode, keep learning. Thank you.